Hi there, welcome to Oracle Fusion training session. I'm Vikas Hanna from Quicksoft. In today's session, I'm going to cover fundamentals of cloud computing and also some foundation and structure for how Fusion came about and how it evolved. Some of you may have an idea about cloud computing. Some may have little idea or no idea. But by the time we finish the session today, which is a very quick overview, I'm sure you'll have a better appreciation of how cloud computing works and how Oracle Fusion evolved over a period. The agenda for fundamentals for Fusion Cloud uh, we have today are I'll talk about a bit of a background of how cloud computing works and what were the what was the initial steps how Fusion application was built. Then I will touch on what kind of options are available for customers who are exploring or planning to move to cloud. And there has been a lot of technological changes when uh, cloud computing came all about in Fusion as well. So I will share some of the key changes which you should understand. And there are a lot of terminologies as well which are new to guys who are new to cloud. So you will understand those. And finally, how we set up a Fusion implementation using an enterprise structure. And when we want to implement Oracle Fusion, what is the implementation approach? We know the implementation approach of e-business suite, those who are familiar with Oracle ERP, but the approach is slightly different when it comes to Fusion. So I will share with you all those. I came across this video on YouTube, which actually quite nicely explains how cloud computing works. It's worth having a look at this one, so let's watch.
What is cloud computing? Cloud computing is a revolution in how computing power is delivered to business. It's been made possible by very large-scale data centers connected to high-speed, low-cost broadband networks. Today's users require 24/7 secure access to more business apps, on more devices, wherever they are. Demands on IT are skyrocketing. It's no wonder traditional on-site computer facilities are struggling to keep up. With cloud computing, you only pay for what you use. Gone are the traditional IT bottlenecks, which means no more waiting. Gone are computer rooms full of servers and data storage, firewalls and routers along with the team to support it. Gone is the need to constantly invest in upgrades and rebuilds. Instead, by plugging your blue cable into the wall, you access exactly what your business needs, including all the support and expertise paid for as a service. History reveals a similar shift happened in the way business used power at the turn of the century. In the late 1890s, every factory or business had in its basement a smoke-belching, fuel-consuming power generator, stoked by grey boiler-suited men, who serviced it and kept it running as best they could. When things worked, they worked nicely. But when they didn't, which was quite often, the machines ground to a halt, the lights went out, and nothing got done. Chicago 1900. The Edison Power Company developed the turbine power station, which could generate and distribute large-scale power to business. This provided cheaper, more reliable and cleaner power than any factory or business-based generator, without many of the headaches. By 1920, most businesses had made the switch. Business now accessed power simply by plugging into the wall. In-house power generation no longer made sense. Today, we take virtually unlimited power for granted. We can't imagine it any other way. As we speak, a similar revolution is happening in IT, called cloud computing. Business no longer has to buy, build, and manage costly computer facilities on site. Just as business learned that power provided by a specialized power company improved reliability and quality, cloud computing has proven to be more secure, more reliable, more scalable, and ultimately more affordable than traditional on-site IT. This is why most new online and business apps are now deployed in the cloud. Just like electricity 100 years ago, a business can now access all the cloud computing infrastructure it requires as a service for all its users, wherever they are, on whatever device they use. This is called Infrastructure as a Service, IaaS for short. Your applications remain the same, but running on more reliable cloud infrastructure. This is where most businesses will start to use cloud. Apps will be migrated as existing in-house infrastructure reaches the end of its life. IaaS is the power station at the core of all cloud models. PaaS, or Platform as a Service, builds on the power of IaaS as a platform to make it easier to collaborate and develop software. SaaS, or Software as a Service, is the icing on the cake. Fully serviced software running on fully serviced infrastructure. Gone are upfront investments for new business application packages. So, cloud can be all three models with IaaS at the core.
So to define cloud computing, it's a practice of using a network of remote servers hosted on the internet to store, manage, and process data rather than a local server or a personal computer. This is a typical definition of cloud computing. Now let's talk about how Fusion came all about, how Fusion evolved over a period. We all are familiar with Oracle e-business suite. This has been one of the best ERP system in the world. So what Oracle has done in last many years, Oracle has acquired many products in the market. And previously they were all selling these products independently, but now they decided that let's combine the best functionality of all this product and create a fusion of all the best functionality available in those products and a single application experience for the customers so that they not only enjoy the benefits of all the product but they have a seamless single interface to get the benefits of all the best functionality available in those applications. So what they did was they found financials was best in Oracle e-business suite. They took out financials from there. JD Edwards was famous for order management. They picked order management from JD Edwards. Hyperion planning and budgeting has been a wonderful application for so many years. So they picked up planning and budgeting for Hyperion. Primavera has been a pioneer in project management. So project management functionality came from Primavera. And PeopleSoft, which has been famous for human resources. So they picked up the HCM functionality and the best processes from PeopleSoft. And CRM analytics from Oracle, from Siebel, which they acquired. So all these products, we are all aware that these were acquired over a period, but they were all, if you wanted to use this product, you have to install on different servers, different uh, management of the servers, and all those uh, overhead which came with all those different applications which we have to get familiar with. But now, what Oracle has done, they have combined the best of all these products into one product called Oracle Fusion Applications. These are some of the key products which Oracle acquired, but inside Fusion application, there are so many other products and functionality which are included, which makes this Fusion application really a wonderful and best of the breed applications are available in this so that the customer get the best experience using Oracle Fusion applications. So to define Fusion applications, what Fusion application is, it's an all-encompassing suite of Oracle applications built for comprehensive business tasks such as ERP, CRM, and HCM. This is how Oracle Fusion evolved over a period. Now let me share with you what are the options available to customers. They can have a private, which is on-premise installation, which is what people have been doing over a period. They buy servers, get network storage. They have to procure everything. They install applications on their servers on their premise and they manage it. So this is typical what they have been doing. And what are the available options if people want to move to cloud. The first option is called infrastructure as a service. What is the difference between private versus IaaS? In infrastructure as a service, the vendor provides you all the infrastructure, which means server, virtualization, hardware, storage, and networking. And as a customer, you are responsible for managing primarily an application part, which is where you can have many of your applications which are third-party application which you have been using for a long period. But instead of hosting those applications locally in your premise, what you can do is you can procure a infrastructure from the vendor on cloud and then put the application as it is on a cloud infrastructure. Then by doing so, you get rid of the hassle of maintaining it locally and procuring all the hardware and infrastructure, but use a high class infrastructure from the vendor and just put their application as it is from your premise to the cloud. What are the advantage? Why would somebody do that? This is useful for someone who really wants to get over the hassle of maintaining all the infrastructure locally, and they want to make sure all applications are available wherever they are instead of getting into their office and accessing those applications. The next step, if somebody wants to go to next level of cloud computing, is PaaS. What's the difference in IaaS and platform as a service? As you can see in this, in PaaS, the only thing customer has to manage is applications. Everything else is managed by the vendor. Vendor provides all these services to you, and you just take care of the core application which you have. Most of the time, when vendor provides the PaaS environment, it is restricted to the tools which the vendor provides. So if you want to use a specific tool, the vendor may or may not support. Some support, some may not support. Yeah, because if you look at typical vendors who are providing cloud computing services, they are using PaaS more as an extension for their SaaS applications, which is what I'm going to share next. Software as a service, SaaS. This is the process where actually the vendor is managing everything. You just log into application using internet, use it. You don't have any responsibility of managing the application. Your application, runtime, database, infrastructure, completely managed by the vendor. So the question comes, when should I use SaaS, which is software as a service, and PaaS? So as I mentioned earlier, those vendors who are providing software as a service, they provide you also PaaS environments to extend your software applications. For example, if you subscribe to SaaS, you can use it as it is the way vendor has provided, but you cannot extend any of the functionality. Even though the application in SaaS provide a lot of cosmetic enhancement, some customization to some level, but they are very limited. If you really want to have some specific functionality as per your business need, and it is not available in SaaS environment, which is software as a service, you need to procure platform as a service as an additional access so that you can extend your application and easily integrate with your SaaS application. So basically, if you have subscribe to SaaS, you're basically responsible for consuming the application the way the application is. And if you subscribe to PaaS, you have the opportunity to extend the SaaS application as per your business need, but within the framework as provided by the vendor. And if you subscribe to IaaS, then you have basically unlimited opportunity to, one is to store your third-party application as it is without doing any change, and then you can also build any application on any technology with no limitation. The only difference in IaaS and on-premises, in on-premise, you are responsible for all these item listed here in IaaS managed by vendor, but in IaaS, you're only responsible for very few components of the application, which are primarily application focused. Yeah? So these are the three typical options for cloud computing: SaaS, PaaS, IaaS. So what are the key technological changes which have happened in application? If you look at the application part, our applications are same application which we had previously, but the functionality has been enhanced tremendously. If you actually have a have been a user for Oracle General Ledger in eBusiness Suite. And if you look at the Oracle General Ledger screens and functionality available in Oracle Fusion GL, you'll be surprised by the ease of use and the kind of functionality available on the tips of your fingers. So you can easily click and get the information available rather than for which you used to submit reports and run FSG and all the previously. Lot of ease of functionality and lot of friendly interface is available in the applications. On the middleware part, uh, some new functionality like previously you used to have system administrator role where you go and create users. Now you have IDM and OIM, which was in R12, but in the new uh, releases, it's called security console where we go and create users. You have APM, which is authorization policy manager. This is used to create all different seeded roles. In Oracle Fusion, you cannot create a new role. You can only copy it and then modify it as required. BPM for business process management. This is similar to what you used to do in AME in R12. So you can create all the approval flow using BPM. QCM, Universal Content Management. This is used for importing and exporting data to and from Fusion application. Fusion application has a lot of uh, useful functionality where basically if you set up something in your test environment and you want to export it to another environment, you can export those setup from one environment and import into another environment. This saves a lot of hassle during implementation. SOA, service oriented architecture. This is primarily used for integration with Fusion. Where, for example, I shared previously regarding PaaS. So if you have some application developed in PaaS, you want to integrate with SaaS, you can use uh, all these APIs available to interact. BPEL, Business Process Execution Language. This is used to define all business process management functionality in Fusion Cloud. And what are the databases we use now? We have Oracle database, which is same as before, but now all the financial data is also available in Space Cube. As I mentioned, they have included Hyperion planning and budgeting in Oracle Fusion, but along with that, Space comes as a cube database which stores all the functionality available. Previously, if you guys have used Hyperion or HFM, you used to push data from your ERP to HFM and then or Hyperion, then run certain processes. But in Oracle Fusion Cloud, the moment you post a journal in GL, it's immediately available in Space Cube, so you can run all your reporting immediately. FRS, Financial Reporting Studio, which is taken from HFR, Hyperion Financial Reporting. This has replaced your FSG reports. So those who are familiar with Hyperion Financial Reporting, they will find it very easy to build new reports. So these reports are coming from Hyperion Cube, SBase, and you can build your fantastic reports, drillable reports very quickly. Then business BI Publisher you can use to generate custom report like invoice printout, purchase order, and all that, which is very similar to which you had in eBusiness Suite. You can use same here. As I mentioned in my Fusion options available, SaaS, PaaS, and I was telling you that some things you can do in SaaS. For example, BA Publisher reports you can easily build as per your design, and you can also generate Hyperion financial reporting reports. But there, if you want to build like altogether new functionality application, that you cannot do. For that, you need to use PaaS. So these are some of the key technological changes which have been done in Fusion. There's a lot more, but I'm just giving you a high level snapshot. Now let me share with you application terminology changes between R12 and Fusion. If you look at column 1, these are all the items you must be very familiar with if you're using R12. Menus, submenus, function, request group, responsibility, and finally we assign responsibility to a user. So this is how when we set up the security in R12, we have to define all this and then we configure the profile options to grant access. Now, if you look at Fusion, Fusion has a different way of doing the same thing. We call it RBAC, role-based access control. So menu is now called job roles, which is just a name for the particular responsibility. Submenu are now called duty roles. These are the basically duties which a person can do. The way Oracle has configured all this RBAC, they have defined different duties in the system which you combine few duties and create a job role. That is, this is which is what happens in real life, right? we have a job role who performs certain duties. This is how Oracle has structured this RBAC. Request groups, where we used to list all those reports somebody can submit, are also currently defined using privileges, and then based on the privileges assigned to the job role, they can submit those reports. Responsibility, what was the function of responsibility previously? We used to have responsibility and then we assign a menu to responsibility request group to see which reports a user can submit. And then we also used to define some exclusion rules where we say this function you cannot access, this particular menu, this particular responsibility cannot access. But now in Fusion, all that is different. In Fusion, we define a job role, assign the duties to the role, and then you define what privileges that user can do or cannot do. All the access which used to define many profile previously or certain responsibility used to define are now defined based on the user using data access. For example, if I want to give access to a ledger, then I will give that access to a particular user that this user can do read or write to this ledger. It's not connected to your responsibility or a job role. User may have access to job role. Once he accesses that job role, he will have the access to the ledger based on what data access has been given to the user. Yeah, so data accesses are defined assigned to the user, and there can be some abstract role. For example, employee, if somebody is an employee of the company, he automatically gets assigned certain roles which will be assigned by the system. In R12, we used to define multi-org architecture for over different kind of responsibility and access control, which used to comprise business group, primary ledger, legal entry, operating unit, and inventory organization. In Fusion, this is called enterprise structure. Business group is defined very similar to as an enterprise in Fusion. You can define a division which is optional. Then you have ledger, legal entity, business unit, and inventory organization. This is how you define enterprise structure in Fusion. When we do any implementation in R12, we used to define user, give them system administrator access, and some necessary responsibilities so that they can do setups for all those modules. So if you look at Fusion, in Fusion, you can create users from IDM, OEM, or security console, or you can actually create user from HCM. When you define a user from HCM, which is an employee, a user record is created automatically by the process. But if you define an implementation user directly, then user and employee association cannot be done. If you define an implementation user, you cannot supplier assign any supplier site under with that particular user. This is to restrict any unnecessary payments to be given to that particular user. But for employee user, there is no such restriction. What are the key roles which you should have before you can do the implementation in the system? You should have IT security manager, so you can define user role and any other customization for the roles. You should have application implementation consultant, so you can do functional setup manager configuration. Yeah, and you should have employee role assigned to you so you can submit jobs. Without this role, you cannot submit any jobs in the system. And if you are defined as an employee, there's a mandatory assignment. You should assign legal entity, business unit, and legislative data groups to the employee. Legislative data groups are same what we used to define in business group in the system to find out that this particular business group belong to which country, so that localization for that country are automatically enabled. In Fusion, these are called LDG, legislative data groups. So this is what you need to do for defining users who can do the implementation. I mentioned the word functional setup manager in my previous slide. Let me explain to you what functional setup manager is. It is similar to accounting setup manager in R12. If you remember in R12, we had accounting setup manager where we could, in one screen, we could do many steps. So it's very similar to that, but much more enhanced functionality. Single application to configure all the modules. In R12, you used to switch application. When you do setup for GL, you go to general ledger setup. And then if you want to set up AP, you go to AP setup. So you used to switch responsibility in R12. But in Fusion, you do not need to do that. All those setups are available under functional setup manager. Another thing, the different is in R12, you can assign super user responsibility and do setups and transaction together in the same responsibility. For some user who do not need access to setup, we used to define a new responsibility and remove the setup functions. But in Fusion, there are separate roles defined for setups and separate roles defined for transaction. You cannot merge these roles. So this is a great functionality which is automatically taking care of segregation of duties. So we also have application implementation consultant role, which is very similar to sysadmin, so that this anyone who has this role have access to function setup manager, and it provides you a lot of offerings and options to configure the application. Let me share some terminologies with you guys. When I say offering, is basically group of application like financial, supply chain, HS, HCM, procurement. These are called offerings in the system. So within offering, you may have modules called GL, AP, AR, PO, HR. So depending upon within the offering, you can tick and choose which particular option you want to enable. Before you can do any implementation in Fusion, you have to define an implementation project. What is an implementation project? Implementation project is sum of your offering and options. When you define an implementation project, you choose which offering you want to enable in the system and which options you want to choose. Depending on offerings and options you choose, system automatically identifies the steps you need to configure based on the right sequence, so you can follow those steps step by step and execute this implementation perfectly. Once assuming if you define for financial, it may have GL, AR, AP, FA, lot of setup steps. So in a project which it creates all the tasks in the list. But you can choose to define some tasks which you assign to your implementation consultant one, some tasks you can assign to implementation consultant two, and you can set up along uh, with the task assignment some due dates. So as a project manager, you can easily manage which tasks are completed, which are pending. It gives you complete visibility of all the steps you need to configure your implementation. And some of the steps here which are defined can only be executed via the project function setup manager project only. You cannot go directly to some of the screens and do those. Very important advantage of this function setup manager is once you've done all the setup, you can export what you have done. So if you're moving from CRP to UAT, you've done all the setups in CRP, you can actually export all the data from function setup manager and import in your UAT. By doing so, you save a lot of time in your setup which you used to do previously in your environment. Another great functionality available in Fusion, they have provided rapid implementation spreadsheet for many, mm, almost most of your setups. What is rapid implementation spreadsheet? Basically, if they give you a spreadsheet where they provide you all predefined sheets, you just have to provide your data as per the examples given in the sheet, and by the click of one button, all the setups for that module can be done. I'll give you example. If I am setting up my GL, so whatever you used to do in accounting setup manager can be easily done through this rapid implementation spreadsheet. So just by clicking a button, you'll find everything is already configured in Fusion. So overall, Fusion has given a lot of enhanced functionalities which helps you do your job better. So in summary, today I shared with you all the foundation process and some changes about cloud, how cloud computing works, what kind of cloud computing options are available, so you can easily appreciate the cloud functionality. I also shared with you how Oracle Fusion came about, what kind of mix of products Oracle used to define this great application, and we discussed about some of the changes in the application architecture or application terminologies or application implementation approach. I hope this small video would have given you a good overview of what Oracle Fusion application is and also what cloud computing is. Thank you very much for watching, and keep subscribing for the channel so you can receive all the future videos automatically. Thank you.